that should be properly invested in.
We're joined now by Chris Irvine, a Medway commuter and spokesman for the passenger pressure group Fares Fair for Medway. Chris, very good morning to you. What effect would an 8% increase have for you?
Good morning, Gemma. An 8% increase for me personally wouldn't have any effect because I've actually stopped commuting. I got so fed up with commuting year on year and seeing year-on-year increases that I decided to take the plunge, find a local job and get myself off Southeastern trains.
It was really that bad for you? You thought that was the only answer?
Yes, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people with this increase, if it goes ahead at 8%, I think a lot of people are going to be looking at doing something along the same lines.
Are you still working at the moment in London, or have you already started in Rochester?
No, I've started in Rochester 2 months ago. I made a decision after the last fare increase in December last year that I just wasn't prepared to put up with it anymore, and I've been very fortunate to find a job locally, and I think a lot of people are going to be doing the same thing. I
was going to say, for your former fellow Medway commuters, this is going to be crippling at the moment, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. We've had 3 years of this. We've got another 2 years to go under the current franchise agreement. And I don't see how it's sustainable. I mean, personally, salaries are being frozen for people in the public and private sector. Wages are not going up. And to be putting this on people at this time during the current economic circumstances is, quite frankly, ridiculous.
Some people may say that a lot of money's been spent improving services, so doesn't the company have any right to recoup some of that?
Well, I certainly think, I'm not against companies making a profit, but as long as it's a reasonable profit. I think the franchise agreement where they're allowed to increase fares by the retail price index plus 3% is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you say they've improved services, but I think many commuters would actually argue the point that the services haven't really increased. I mean, we're seeing probably something around about 170 trains at the moment are going out in Southeastern, which is short-formed. We're constantly seeing overcrowding, constantly seeing cancellations, and I would argue that the service hasn't really improved for the investment that's been put in.
What about the thinking that people like you who use the railways should be paying for them and not the taxpayer as a whole?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all, everybody's taxpayers. Real commuters are taxpayers as well. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important that we invest in the rail structures and keep the fares down so that we can keep people in work. If the fares go up too much, as has happened in my case, that people will stop actually commuting. And it's in Southeastern's interests, I believe, to actually keep the fares down as much as possible to try and keep their passengers.
And just finally, Chris, how much has life improved since you've given up the commute?
It's been fantastic. It's been it's lovely being able to just get in the car, drive into Rochester, park up, and not have the hassle of going on the trains and hoping that the trains turn up, actually.
I'll bet. Chris Irvine, thank you very much indeed. Chris there, a former commuter, he's now given it all up and got a job in Rochester after the last price hike, and he said for lots of people it could be doing the same thing.
And you feel for him, don't you? I feel for anybody who has to do that journey every day. I don't know how people do it, but they do. And if you can escape, as Chris has, you just think, well done, you're out. You don't have to do it anymore.